Spurgmeister, who likes to stick the plunger to the wall. Let's see how he debates Rachel Wilson.
I like to think it's going to be history versus common sense. You guys can decide for yourselves. It's funny because I was talking with my manager on the way over here and we were laughing a little bit because the irony of this debate is she would not be standing here with all due respect. She would not be getting paid to debate me if not for feminism. That's not an opinion, everybody. That's a fact. She would not have been paid to write her book if not for feminism and the people that work really hard to give her the opportunity to do this. Now listen, I don't care how much money she's getting paid.
Okay, let's justify feminism. But I don't know what he's going with that, but it's almost like he's trying to justify feminism because she was able to write a book. Yeah.
I don't care how much money her husband makes.
Brilliant.
The fact of the matter is that she wouldn't be here if not for feminism. Again, not an opinion, fact. I've never been called a feminist before. I've been called a lot of things by a lot of people. Never been called a feminist because I don't think I am one. I'm just somebody that doesn't like to tell other people what to do with their lives, man or woman. Who am I to tell a woman, you should stay at home? You shouldn't be in the workplace. You shouldn't have kids after 30. No. I want people to live their lives and do the things that they want to do because life is short. What right do I have, man or woman, to tell you what to do with your life? Now, I'm not really sure, and I'll ask Rachel this question. What does this country look like for her? Does she not want women to work at all? Does she want us to be a third world country like Afghanistan where women are not allowed to work?
Bro.
Now, you're going to hear this word a lot in this debate. No, it's not going to be Donald Trump. But you're going to hear the word hypocrisy a lot. Because Rachel's made decisions in her life because of feminism. Rachel's had the opportunity to get out of relationships because of feminism. It wasn't even that long ago where women were in abusive relationships, but they weren't allowed to get out of those relationships. I don't care about someone's personal life. I don't care how many baby daddies they have. I don't care how many ex-husbands they have. It's not my business. But in this debate, it is my business because she's telling other people how they should live their life. Why is it okay for her to do that, but not others? I defer.
When in the fuck did she say that no one else could? Like, that is so weird, bro. The thing is, you're building strawmans and burning them down before they leave your mouth. That is dumb as fuck, bro. Just go sit back down on the plunger, bro.
Much for that opening statement. We're going to kick it over to Rachel for her 5-minute opening as well. Rachel, I have the timer set for you. The floor is all yours.
Well, thanks for coming, everybody, and being here. It's great to see so many faces, and all of you online watching, thanks for your support. Thank you to Andrew for giving me something beautiful to look at in the front row. A whole straw man opening is brand new for me, but that should be fun. So, for my opening, the topic of the debate is, has feminism been good for women and children? I'm glad we're talking about this, because the whole reason I do this is that feminism has destroyed the lives of children. So let's talk about the promises of feminism, what it told women and children it was going to do, how they got suffrage passed, how they got the whole agenda passed. It was supposed to provide women with safety, equality, and happiness. Let's look at the last 100 years and see if feminism has delivered on any of those promises to women and kids. So after a no-fault divorce became kind of the law of the land starting in the 60s and spread across the country, we changed all of society. Prior to 1950, there were only about 2% of kids living with single parents in a single-parent home. Now that number is over 40%. Contrary to popular belief, women were allowed to leave abusive and dangerous marriages prior to no fault. No fault divorce didn't mean no divorce. It just meant you have to have a reason. So in the year 1900 alone, there were over 55,700 divorces granted to women for reasons like abuse or abandonment. Now you can just get one because you're not feeling it anymore. So what we have is broken homes. And the effects of broken homes on kids are extremely well explained in the data across all the data sets, and they're very consistent over time. So after this big wave of divorce in the 80s and all these newly single parent homes, children experienced a lot of destabilization in their lives, which put them at risk for everything you can think of. From, let's take a look at this. Fatherless homes account for children. 90% of kids who are homeless come from a fatherless home. 85% with behavioral disorders. 75% of kids in substance abuse treatment centers. 88% of kids who are committed to psych wards come from broken homes. If you look at abuse of all kinds, all the data sets show that kids who are living with a single mom and their partner are at the highest risk, more than 10 times more risk than children who are living with both married biological parents. Also for women, domestic violence didn't go away because of no-fault divorce. It shifted to cohabitative relationships. So the domestic violence rate dropped for married couples, but it skyrocketed for cohabitating couples. You are at 40% higher risk of getting abused by your boyfriend than you are your husband if you live with your boyfriend. So much for safety, I guess. What about equality? Well, men still do all the dirty, dangerous, difficult jobs. 92% of all work deaths are men. 90% of all infrastructure jobs, the essential infrastructure jobs that run everything you see here, are done by men. Women get less time for the same crime. Men get 30% longer sentences. Women get 40% more probation than sentences for the exact same crimes as men. Single mother households dominate welfare. 85% of SNAP money goes to women, to single moms. And if you look at welfare and out-of-wedlock births on a graph, they go up in tandem over the last 70 years together. So what about happiness? Are women happy? Well, unfortunately, no. We now have 26% of all American women are on at least one psychiatric drug. There's been 2 major studies done on women's happiness since sexual liberation. The paradox of declining female happiness and a follow-up study called the female happiness paradox. Both data sets across time, culture, economic status did not matter. Women's happiness has decreased both absolutely and relative to men. So in summary, no, feminism didn't deliver on its promises. It hadn't made women and children safer or happier. It made them more vulnerable to abuse and exploitation by removing the men that have the most interest in protecting them, and that would be their own fathers and their own husbands.
Thank you very much for that 5-minute opening as well. We will jump into the rebuttals. These are 5 minutes as well. Brian, I've got the timer set for you. The floor is all yours.
The word would be hypocrisy. Rachel just talked about abuse, divorce. I want to be very clear with what I'm about to say. It is normally not my business to talk about how many children you have, how many ex-husbands you have. But when you have somebody to my left who wants to tell other women how to live their lives, I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to bring up some studies. Now, Rachel has 3 baby daddies. Why is that important? Well, Guzzo and Hirschberg's study says that if you do have multiple baby daddies, family has higher stress, more likely to have more mental health issues. The things that you claim that you care so much about, I do as well. The Doria study, lower income and families most likely in children have a lower education rate. The Rutgers study, you just talked about physical violence. The Rutgers study, which, by the way, these studies have just come out in the last couple of years. You could look it up if you would like on your phone. By the way, you want to go back to 50 years or 100 years ago, then why do you use a cell phone? I'm just curious. Why do you use a cell phone? You can laugh, but if you want to go back to the way things were 50 or 100 years ago, we were a slavery nation. Are we still a slavery nation now? Do you want to go back to slavery? Should black people be allowed to vote? I'd love you to answer those questions. But anyway,
What are you talking about, bro? Like, what are you actually talking about? Cell phones didn't exist back then, so where in the fuck are you getting any of this?
like going back to that Rutgers study, if you have multiple baby daddies, there's a much higher rate. In fact, a 24% higher risk of physical violence and sex abuse. A Halliburton study, among other studies, you're likely to be below the poverty line. if you have multiple baby daddies. Now, you might tell me right now, and I would believe you, if you said, I got through it. My kids grew up to be great people, and I would say, I'm happy for you. I think that's great. But why is it okay for you, but not okay for them? Why is it okay for you to say, well, you know what, I made some, maybe you won't say it was a mistake. I don't know. I'll ask you. But why would it be okay for you, hypothetically, to say, I made some mistakes, but, you know, everything turned out okay. My kids turned out okay. Why can't other women use those same excuses if they have kids after 30? Or if they want their own career? If you want to be a stay-at-home mom with kids, I think that's great. Go ahead and do that. But if you want to be out there in the workforce and be a doctor or a lawyer, you should be allowed to do that too. And Bible thumpers shouldn't be telling you what you should or shouldn't do. That's exactly what you do, Rachel. So I'd like you to explain to this audience right now why it's okay for you to have 3 baby daddies, why it's okay for you to take those risks and those studies that I just mentioned for your kids, but why is it not okay for everybody else?
This guy is fucking retarded.
Switch over to Rachel for her 5-minute rebuttal.
Holy
Got the
shit.
timer set for you, Rachel. The floor is all yours.
So what you just heard was amateur hour of somebody who does not know how to make an argument, somebody who doesn't know what a debate is or how to
Ad hominem
have a
attacks.
debate.
No, dude, bullshit. Okay, so you know one fallacy in the whole fucking, like, pool of fallacies, right? Everything about you is appeal to emotion, and you still didn't address anything that was said. Bro, you're fucking stupid.
You can't
Ad hominem
interrupt.
attacks.
You can't. No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again, amateur hour. This is the person who did the ad hominem attacks. He didn't present an argument. He just said, what about you? He used a tu quoque fallacy. What about you, though? This debate has nothing to do with my life or your life or
Yes,
my
it does.
personal life or your personal life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sean, you, Brian.
Staggering lack of self-control. So, again, another fallacy, a straw man fallacy. My argument was not that I can tell women what to do. My whole entire opening was just explaining what has happened to society in general, going over data. There was no condemnation of working mothers. There was no condemnation of women who need to leave abusive relationships like I did. There was no, we need to go back to slavery, which was 50 years ago, I guess. Again, not sure how this person is employed in media. But all that aside, he did not address any of the arguments I made, which were that, actually what he did was support my arguments by saying, yeah, when families are broken up, it's bad for kids. When we see divorce, rampant divorce, children raised in single household families, it's bad for kids. Yes, it is. Now, if everyone was only getting divorced in instances of abuse or abandonment, we would see divorce rates much closer to numbers that we had prior to no fault. You would see, if you look at surveys, the reasons for divorce, things like legitimate physical abuse are very far down on the list. They're usually like 4th or 5th. The number one reason is irreconcilable differences. I fell out of love. Mr. Johnson down the street makes me feel sexy. I need to find myself. And the kids are resilient and they'll get over it. What I'm against is this frivolous breaking down of families to chase personal happiness. It's the kids don't get over it. We have massive studies on what happens to children after divorce. And as Brian brilliantly laid out, it's very bad for kids. We see the worst outcomes for children coming from broken homes. So the argument is not no one can get divorced. The argument is divorce should only be permitted for very good reasons. That was the historic norm for the church. I'm not saying that women can't work outside the home ever. I'm saying that mothers already have a full-time job and that pushing them to work outside the home, creating the 2-income trap that's been laid for us by feminism, reduced women's choices. It didn't give us more choices. There was never a time when women were not allowed to work. It just wasn't the norm because women already had a full-time job, especially prior to the birth control pill in 1965, when most women had an average of 3 to 7 kids, depending on what time frame you're looking at. That's a full-time job. It didn't make sense to send women out to do men's jobs. It didn't make any sense to push them outside the home and force them to work. And now women like me who want to stay home struggle and find that they can't and find that they have to work when all they really want to do is be at home raising their own children, and they're forced to try to outsource that, which is why most women only have 1 or 2 children anymore. You can't afford to put 5 kids in daycare. So we have very small families, we have lower birth rates, and we have unhappier women who are now trapped in a different set of bad circumstances with abusive cohabitating partners instead of a husband who loves them and takes care of them. We're trapped in this 2-income trap. We have women who are trying to juggle everything and balance everything and are struggling to do that, and they're reporting higher levels of anxiety and depression. I'm not here to condemn women. Brian's here to condemn me personally, apparently, which is the actual ad hom argument. If he had an actual argument rather than just pointing at me, that would be fine. But if all he's here to do is say, well, but you got divorced because you were in an abusive marriage, that's actually not an argument. It supports my argument that you should be able to get out of abusive marriages, and you were. You were actually able to get out of abusive marriages prior to no fault. No fault means you don't need a reason, and the other party does not have to agree. And that's where I think that we went wrong.
I honestly think throughout this whole fucking debate, it's just going to be Brian Shapiro attacking her instead of her argument. I think that's honestly how it's going to be the entire time.
Very much for that rebuttal from Rachel. We're going into the 40-minute crossfire or open dialogue. I'm going to trust you guys, but if there are interruptions, I do have to jump in and break it into 90-second responses. So, handing it off to you. The floor is yours.
Well, first of all, for somebody that wants to stay home, you're certainly out a lot debating people, so I really don't understand that argument.
Well,
number
are you
one,
aware of... Well, let me address that,
is that
since
10
this is
seconds,
the back and
or
forth.
can I just...
So, what is that supposed to mean, dude? I'm willing to bet all her kids are growing the fuck up. She's, what, are you trying to say she can't leave the house either? Come on, dude. Come on, bro.
Well, this is the back and forth.
I know, but that was like 10 seconds.
But you already got it wrong. So my
You
children
got
are,
everything wrong.
my children
You got
are
everything
grown.
wrong.
No, I got everything
I
right.
know they're grown.
They're
Can I
grown
just
up and
finish?
out of the
Can I
house.
just finish?
So I've never
Can I
said
finish?
that women can't leave the house when their kids have grown up and left, and that they
Do
can't.
you believe women should be allowed to vote?
Do you think women are chained to the kitchen? Do you
I'm
think
asking you a
chained
question.
to
Do you
the
think women should be allowed to vote?
I think it would be better if women and many other groups didn't vote. I would categorize women as one of the groups that should not. Yes.
Is there any other demo that shouldn't be allowed to vote, or is it just
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways that you could limit suffrage that would make everything a lot more fair and a lot more efficient. I think that if you're taking more from the system than you get, so that would be a great way to limit suffrage. You'd have to be a net zero taxpayer. You can't be taking more than you're getting. So if you're getting more in SNAP benefits and welfare
So
than you're
voting
paying,
should be based on how much you pay in taxes, or if you
it
pay
should
taxes?
be based on whether you are contributing to the system or not. If you're taking more than you're contributing, no, you shouldn't be having a voice in governance. You should also have
Fair
to
enough.
take a civics test, proving that you have some rudimentary understanding of how our government works.
A lot of people wouldn't vote for Donald Trump if that was the case. But anyway, so you don't think that women should be allowed to vote? You don't think women should be allowed to vote? At least if they're...
Would you like me to explain why?
No, do you know why the birth rate is so low?
No, he doesn't want me to explain.
Well,
I will anyway.
I find it interesting that you want to take away one of the most fundamental rights of a woman, which is being able to vote. By the way,
Fundamental? That's weird. America was, I think we're coming up on a 250th year anniversary of America. Women's, or I should say universal suffrage is only about like 90 or 100 years, so where's the fundamentality in that? I'll wait. Maybe I'm approaching this with the wrong kind of logic, but I think you might be fucking wrong, buddy.
women are, as I think you're aware, bringing children into this world.
Not enough.
Well, yeah, why? Why is that? What's the number one reason why women aren't bringing children in?
Do you want to know, like, the actual correlate?
No, I want to know the polls of the last 2 years, and women have asked, because I have the studies right in front of me right here. What is the number one reason, Rachel, why women aren't bringing kids into this world in the last 2 years? Do you know the reason for that?
I can tell you what the actual data says. The data says that the number one correlate to declining birth rates around the world in every culture, regardless of income or religion, is women's access to higher education and pushing them into the
Not true.
workforce.
So according to the Johns
Yes, it
Hopkins
is
School of Public Health, which has been polled for the last 2 years, they've done it 8 times. The Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, I'll take their word over yours. They say the number one reason why women don't want to bring children into the world is something called the economy, Rachel.
That's surface
Now,
level,
now
dude.
let's talk a little bit about the economy.
What's
real
that?
quick. Hold on. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk a little bit about that, Rachel.
Okay.
Why are people losing their medical coverage? Why are people losing their food stamps? Is it because they're just lazy and they don't want to work?
Okay.
You see, because
we're doing another straw man argument
it's a straw man.
yes, because
everything's a straw man argument.
I'll explain how you're wrong.
Yeah,
I'll
explain why you're wrong.
The only people who do have replacement birth rates are the poorest people. So if it was economics, we wouldn't see that the only people having children would be the poorest among us. And historically, everybody has had children during times of
So
much,
it's because of
much
poor
worse
people. You're
poverty.
saying the reason why is because poor people can't bring people into the world.
No, I'm saying
So,
listen very
I'm
carefully and
listening.
try to understand.
I'm listening.
The
You're
poor
not.
people are the ones having the babies. So the people who have
So-
the resources are opting out because they think their job is more important, because they want to take vacations,
So,
because they want to pay for a second
so when
vehicle
the
and
people
a
that
bigger
aren't
mortgage.
poor are polled and they're saying that the reason why they're not having kids is because of the economy.
It's
Are they
because they are
lying?
prioritizing a higher material standard of living, yes.
So what has changed then in the last...
Materialism.
So
Atheism
what
and
is...
materialism.
Okay, so you think it's
Yeah.
atheism.
It's
You think
atheism
it's
and
because they don't
materialism.
believe in God, and
It's
that's the
because
reason
they're
why they're not having children?
prioritizing having stuff
Right.
and having a career over
So
having a
what should
family.
we do about that? What do you think? Do you think taking away health care and
I think what we
food
should
stamps
do
is
about
the
that,
right
I'll
thing
tell
to
you
do?
what we should do about it is what I'm doing right now, what Andrew does all the time, which is explain why atheism is retarded. And why you shouldn't hold to secular materialist worldviews that have no grounding, that have no fundamental basis for morality, and lead you into deaths of despair, and lead you into
all
an
right.
anti-natalist position where you won't even
All right.
reproduce
You know
yourself.
what? I think you saying that makes you retarded. So first of all,
By the way, just keep in mind, the other day he fucking shit a brick during an interview, saying that basically you're not allowed to say the word retarded because it's offensive. Well, he also hates misogyny, right? But just keep this in mind throughout the rest of the debate, because he already broke one of his cardinal rules, and she just rage baited him into it by saying retard.
to use that word and to call... No, it's not cool for her to use that word. To say that just because we don't believe in what you believe, that people are retarded. Because...
Bro, that's retarded.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So let me be very clear, okay? Everybody has the right to believe in what they believe in. Everybody has the right. You could be a Christian, you could be an atheist,
Okay.
to call people retarded because they don't believe in the religion that you believe
Oh,
in,
how
or they
dare
don't
me!
believe
I
in
know.
God.
Oh,
Is
how
so
dare
beyond
I.
absurd and bigoted in
It's
nature.
retarded?
It's ridiculous.
Is that what you're saying?
It's ridiculous. No, I think you are. So what I was going to say,
How misogynist of you, bro.
I was gonna say-
Do you have an
what I was
argument?
going to say, just be quiet. Make Andrew a sandwich and be
Wow.
quiet.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty misogynist.
Yeah, proof point, or point proven? Or, yeah, anyway.
20 million. Andrew, do you have a cigarette? Because I need one right now.
Why, because
So
you just
listen,
got fucked?
listen,
I know it's
want
got to be
everybody-
embarrassing
hold on.
getting your butt
Be
whipped
quiet
by a
for second.
housewife.
Yeah, you're kicking my butt, Rachel. Calling everybody retarded because they don't think like you is a wonderful argument to make. So 20 million people in this country have lost their health care because of what is in the big and beautiful bill. Millions of people have lost their food stamps. And while people that are sitting over there think it's funny that people in this country are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, many of those people can't afford to have a child. And if they have multiple children, they have to work 2 jobs. They have to work 3 jobs. Now, what happens if a woman hasn't met the right man and she's in her 30s? What does she do there? What happens if a woman is a single woman trying to raise children? What is she supposed to do to raise those children? You know, the people who you support are against unemployment benefits, they're against maternity leave, and they're basically against every government program that would help that mother raise that child. These are the people that you support. So while you can call people retarded for simply not agreeing with your religious beliefs, you're mocking me for making arguments, and yet you want to insult everybody that disagrees with you. Let me be very clear. I
Okay,
support... Wait, hold on. 10 seconds.
At some
10
point,
seconds.
I have to be able
Okay,
to
at some
respond.
point you will. Finish the sandwich. So
She said the ideology is retarded. She did not specify a particular person, you fucking dolt. My God, he's stupid.
The point that I was trying to make was, I want everybody to believe in what you want to believe in. I'm not going to call you retarded because you don't want to be Christian, because you don't want to be Jewish. By the way, I'm not an atheist. I do believe that there is a higher power. I just don't consider myself an extremely religious person. I would never call you all retarded because you don't believe in the same religion that Rachel believes in. I don't live my life based on a book. You can. I choose not to. That doesn't make me retarded. It doesn't make you retarded. I know a lot of very intelligent people that do not believe in God. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It doesn't mean they're retarded. That is not an argument, Rachel. You're insulting millions and millions of people in this country that don't believe in what you believe in. Go ahead, Ms. Retard, go ahead.
So that was yet another straw man ad hom, not an argument, because, and I'll explain why. You know how long the birth rate has been below replacement levels? Any idea?
I already know the answer to this one.
Yes.
What was the question?
How long have birth rates been below replacement
I'm
levels?
going by the last 2 years according to the John
How
Hopkins School of
long,
Public
answer
Health.
my question, how long have the birth rates been below replacement?
The data I have in the last 2 years.
Okay, he doesn't know, so I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
So tell me.
It's been for about 50 years.
Okay.
So was Trump to blame for the birth rate being below
I
replacement in
didn't
the
say that.
1980s?
I didn't say that.
Okay, what caused it then? What time? During the prosperity of the early 90s, when we had one of the best economies we've had,
I'll respond.
why was the birth rate below replacement
Sure. So I'll answer that, but I'll start by saying this.
Bro.
I don't know what's so funny.
An attempted
I have a
obfuscation.
study for the last 2 years. Now, I didn't bring up the study for why the birth rate was lower 50 years ago. And the reason why I didn't is in my opening monologue, what I told everybody is that I care about what's going on in this country
But I disproved
right
your point.
now.
My point disproves your point.
What are you talking about?
You
It's
said
the economy
you
right
said
now.
you said
right now.
yes. You said the reason women aren't
Right
having
now.
yeah. You
Right
said the reason is this.
Right.
I'm telling you, it's been this way for 50 years, so it can't be anything that's happened
I
in the
just
last
gave
2
you
years.
why women are not having children
Are you not
now.
able to follow
Are
logic?
you not able to
He's
listen
dumb.
to logic? I just
That's
told you.
not logic.
I just told you right now the reason why women aren't having kids now. Now I know you care about 50 years ago. I
no,
care about
I'm talking
right now.
about consistency over
Okay,
time.
and right now the number one reason is the economy. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Why don't you pay attention?
What I'm
Why
trying to
don't you
explain
listen?
to you is that even in the 90s, when the economy was at its best, women were still not having more
And
than
times change and people change and women have different opinions.
What I'm
of why
telling
they're
you
doing
is
different things.
this disproves your theory.
No, it doesn't.
You can take one
No,
survey.
it doesn't.
What you have is one survey. How many people were asked the question in the survey?
I have it right here. 18,000.
18,000.
Yes, 18,000.
And they-
John Hopkins.
Right. So you don't think that it could be the case that when they say it's the economy, they're not saying we're starving. They're saying, look, I want to go on a cruise every year. I want that second vehicle. I want a higher standard of living,
Wait,
and
hold on,
I
let
would
me
prefer
get
to
this
have
right.
a job and work.
So
I
the
can
reason
have
why
stuff.
women aren't having kids is because they want to go on a cruise.
It's
That's
because
not
they
retarded.
want a higher material standard of living, and
Okay,
so
all right. How do you
now
know
that
How
well,
do you know that?
you did this big long monologue, so now I'm going to do one. If you know anything about the economics of the last 50 years and the birth rates, you would know that prior to pushing women into the workforce in huge numbers in 1970, most women with school-aged children stayed at home. Overwhelmingly, there was only like 6% of kids who had a mom that worked full-time. During that time, the economy fundamentally changed into a two-income economy where rather than just having the basics, where a janitor who is a father of 5 can support all those kids on one income and they can have a house in a nice neighborhood, they can have a car, they can afford groceries, and they can even afford to retire. Imagine such a thing, like the baby boomers did. When we pushed women into the economy in huge numbers, it did a couple of things. The first is it created that two-income trap, where now you don't have a family wage, you have an individual wage. And on top of that, we changed from being more of a productive economy to what my friend Aaron Clary calls a she economy. And this is more of a service-based, consumer-based, debt-based economy, where everybody is buying more than they can afford, they are financing everything, they are living well above their means, and it takes two incomes to keep this up. And this happened because we gave women a ton of free college. It wasn't really free. They had to pay it back. Women are now the majority debt holders. They have the most degrees, but they also go into life with an average of $50,000 in
Are
debt.
you against?
Meanwhile, most men don't have to actually go to college unless they're trying to be a fucking, rocket scientist, a doctor, something of real specific nature, Well, most of us just turn into laborers. We get into some sort of trade, and you learn as you go, as an apprentice, or just you start from the bottom and work your way up. We don't need college in a lot of cases, unless you want to get into these specialized fucking fields. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. Things don't click for this guy at all. He needs to pull the plunger out of his ass.
So yes, I'm not done yet. So yes, when you have a young woman who spends all of her formative years going to school, she doesn't graduate college until she's at least 22, maybe later. She's got $50,000 in debt starting out, and she has to start a career. Of course she's going to say, I can't have a baby. I just started in life with debt and a career that I have to build. Otherwise, all this college I went to is for nothing. That's why I chose not to do it, because I wanted to have a family, and I thought it doesn't make sense for me to do things this way. And a lot of women want to do that and feel the social pressure that they cannot make that choice because everyone around them goes, you've got to have your own money. You can't depend on a man. That's scary. He'll abuse you and you'll have to leave and it's going to be awful. And we don't fearmonger women about, let's say a woman wants to be a dentist and we say, well, what happens if you get arthritis? What if you hurt your hand or lose your fingers in an accident? You can't rely on being a dentist. What if something happens?
All right, let me jump in here.
So it's not that, just to summarize, it's not that women are too poor. It's not that people are too poor. We still have a much higher standard of living than we've ever had historically. It's not that we can't afford children. It's that we fundamentally transformed the economics of the country and people have different material standards that they want instead that they prioritize over family.
So just to repeat, she just said, it's not that women can't afford children. Rachel's in a situation where she has means and she has money. She doesn't speak for all the other women that were in this John Hopkins, where they all said that the number one reason was the economy. There could be all sorts of different reasons. I don't believe that the majority of these women said they're not having kids because they want to be able to go on a cruise. Okay?
They got to pay their college debt.
I'm not done yet. Okay? I don't believe that at all. She's making a gross assumption in assuming to form her argument that all these women are not having kids, and it's got nothing to do with any of the policies put forth right now. It's got nothing to do with the fact that they're living paycheck to paycheck, or they're single mothers who can't get maternity leave. It's got nothing.
I mean, dude, this whole situation that you're speaking of is actually fucking dumb because you see all the EBT crash outs that happened when the government shut down by the Dems, by the way. It was actually kind of funny because you see all these videos and you see women with like crazy ass hairdos, extravagant purses, and the way they dress. They have these nails. It's like $200 every 6 weeks to get them fixed, and they're on EBT crying that they don't have enough fucking money. What are you talking about? Quit spending it on dumb shit and take care of your fucking kids. Where did you even get the money to get the nails in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just confusing to me. It's a misappropriation of funds. It doesn't mean you can't have anything, but dude, you have to prove you deserve it. It's not just, there's a bottomless pit of retard when it comes to this shit. It's fucking irritating because we all pay for it.
Nothing to do with any of that stuff, but it's forming her argument on that, which obviously I completely disagree. But she said something very interesting. It's the whole form of why I'm here today. She said she chose to do things in her life, and I would never want to take that away from you, Rachel. But you want to take that away from other people, and then you'll say that's a straw man argument. You've said in this debate thus far, what are we halfway through, that she doesn't believe that the majority of women should vote. She thinks it should be on the level of taxes.
I don't think the majority of men should vote either.
Okay. Well, that's a great argument, Rachel. That's a great argument.
It is a great argument.
Yeah. So you don't believe
actually
women should vote, and you don't believe a certain percentage of men should vote. But everybody should be allowed to have a gun, though, right? If you're not a felon.
Yes, exactly.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Why?
Oh.
That makes a lot of
I
sense.
think the founders were correct about
The
suffrage.
founders had muskets, Rachel. We have AR-15s.
What does that have to do with
Passed
suffrage?
a lot.
Bro, have you ever seen the size of a musket ball? Those things are big. Yeah, no, that like getting hit with an AR-15, I'm sure that sucks. Getting hit with a musket, that sucks forever. It doesn't have the repeatability. Obviously, not a semi-auto, but when you're a musket shooter, yeah, no, those motherfuckers were accurate. They did the thing.
Lot to
They
do
did
with,
the
with,
thing.
with
By
gun
the way,
control.
this is a guy
So-
who's never shot a musket because if he thinks
Okay.
muskets, I'm a firearms
Listen,
instructor, by
listen.
the way.
So
if he
think
thinks
about that for a
muskets
moment.
are less
I want you
dangerous
guys
than
to
some of the
think
guns
about.
we have
Hold on,
now,
Rachel,
he would
calm
be
down.
wrong.
Don't freak out. Calm down. So the bottom line here is, she wants to take away the rights.
He wants to
of
take away your
people-
guns.
All right,
He wants to take away your
No, I
gun
don't.
rights.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Don't you let him take
No, I
away
don't.
your rights.
No, I don't. By the way, the people laughing right there, that's the Andrew Wilson circle jerk crew right over there. So I don't want to take away anybody. See, she's wrong. I don't want to take away anybody's right to own a gun as long as they're not a felon. I've never said that. By the way, as far as I know.
Then why did you throw that at me? Oh, you want
Because
everyone
of
to have
how-
a gun?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because of how ridiculous her argument is.
Oh, I
She
can't
wants
wait.
to take
Explain.
away the rights of people to vote, but yet those same people that are not, as you said, contributing to society, go ahead and buy 10 guns and thousands of rounds of ammunition. I don't want to take your right away, no matter how smart you are, or how stupid you might be, or how much money you're paying in taxes. I don't want to take your rights away. I'm pro First Amendment. Listen, I've never said that I want to
Bro.
take all of your guns away.
It's the Second Amendment, dumbass. Pull the plunger out of your butthole. You might be able to think properly. Holy fuck, dude, this guy's dumb.
By the way, I can't think of one elected official on the left that said that either. Not that this is a gun control debate. I don't want to.
You must not know about Dianne Feinstein, but all right.
I don't want to take your right away to vote either. Listen, I get frustrated sometimes, and I say, man, I wish stupid people weren't allowed to vote. Man, I wish those people weren't allowed to vote. But would I want to put a law in place to take that right away from you? Of course not. Maybe I could agree with some sort of basic. I know I had a conversation with Vivek Ramaswamy about this, and I sort of agree with him that if you had some sort of basic civics test or something, I can't say I would be against that. Maybe we agree on that.
That's a start.
But the fundamental, if you're not making enough money, or you're unemployed, or you're poor, that should be a factor in whether you should vote or not. I completely, fundamentally disagree with that.
Okay, so you think that people who take from the Treasury and raid the Treasury, take the tax money of those who are producing, should be allowed to vote in huge numbers to take more
When you
from
say
those
take,
people?
please be specific. You talking about welfare, food
Yes,
stamps?
I'm talking about anyone who takes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying poor people.
Yeah.
I was poor most of my life, but
So most of your life you shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't have been allowed to vote.
I wasn't taking more from the system than I was getting. So
So-
if you're on SNAP benefits, you're
Right.
on TANF,
Right.
you're getting Medicaid, you're taking tens to maybe hundreds of thousands from the government in subsidies and welfare, then no, you don't get to vote to continually steal from other people.
What about people that steal billions of dollars? Should they be allowed to vote?
They should go to prison if you can
What if
prove
they get
that.
a full pardon? Should they be allowed to vote?
Well, if you get a pardon, that's the
Yeah.
legal system.
Gotcha,
What do you want
okay.
me to do about
So
it?
so
It's
if
going to be
you're
more Trump
so hold on.
arrangements. And
Yeah.
So if you're somebody
exactly.
that has stolen billions of dollars and you get a pardon, you should be allowed to vote. But if you're somebody that is struggling, maybe living paycheck to paycheck, maybe doesn't have a job, maybe doesn't have the opportunities that some other people have, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. I'm
Correct.
sorry, that
Okay,
is
let's
absurd.
Let's ask
Absurd.
another question here.
Well, I think one of the ideas is with that whole situation is that if you are in that impoverished situation, what do you think a certain party is going to try to put your way? Free shit, right? Free shit. And what's that going to come out of? The taxpayer's pocket. The rest of us that aren't poor. You know what I'm saying? This is no like me making fun of anybody, but you create incentives for people to vote for you in a monetary way. It's like bribery. You know, it's not really actually the most intelligent thing to do. It is if you want to be underhanded and not win an election properly. But yeah, anyway.
Here. So I'll make a deal with you. I'll say all the women can vote.
No, I will not have a beer with your husband.
Nobody wants to have a beer
Okay,
with you, dude.
good, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
all the
That's a
women,
relief.
all the women can vote if they have to sign up for the draft when they turn 18, like
Let's
the men.
talk about the draft. I'd be
Yeah,
happy
let's.
to do that with you.
Okay.
So here's my opinion on the draft, right? And here's my opinion on women, and I'm glad you brought that up. I believe that there should be a basic physical standard that both men and women need to pass And because, well, I think we all could agree in this room, on average, right, a man is physically stronger than a woman, on average. That doesn't mean that there aren't women out there that are pretty strong. So my opinion is pretty simple on this. If you can pass that basic physical standard that a man and a woman would have to pass, and they're willing to risk their life for this country.
You're talking about voluntary service. No
Yeah.
one is barring women from the military.
Exactly.
What's your
We're talking
opinion on
about the
that?
draft.
Should
It's
women
not
be
an
able
argument.
to go to war? Should women be able to be there?
I asked you a question about the draft. Let's stick to my
Okay,
question
you don't
rather than
answer mine.
switching.
Okay.
I think that if women want the same rights as men, they should have to. If we want equality, let's have equality. I'll believe women want equality when they demand to sign up for the selective service, when they demand to be part of the industries where 92% of the workplace deaths are compromised by men, when they're doing 90% of the essential infrastructure work. That's equality. Equality is not a system where men do everything dirty, dangerous, and difficult. They die for the country. They die on the job. They die to defend the
How
borders.
many women have died
and
from
women-
childbirth since the early 70s?
Oh, I'm glad that you asked. Not nearly as many as men.
How many?
Let me see if I have it in my notes. It's a very small number.
You think over 30,000 people is a very small number?
That's not what I had
That's
here.
what I have. Since the early 70s, over 30,000.
Oh, since the early 70s. Okay. How many men have died in workplace jobs since the early 70s?
I don't have those stats in front of me. I
Well, let's
imagine
look
a
it
lot of men have died in
More
workplace
than
jobs.
have died in
Sure.
childbirth, by far.
I don't deny
If you
that.
combine wars, so we're talking about voluntary versus involuntary. Nobody
Right,
is
I
forcing
understand
women. Nobody's forcing women to have children. We are forcing men
You don't?
to sign up for the draft, and we are forcing men to do everything that makes these lights, this live stream, these microphones possible.
So
Women do not build and maintain society. That's men.
So because women aren't forced to have kids, you don't think that's a sacrifice when they do have kids?
That's
when they make that decision?
When a man signs up for voluntary military service, yes, he is choosing to sacrifice. We commend
Three women
him.
just came home in caskets from
Yeah.
Iran. You're aware of
Anyone
that, right?
who volunteers for either childbirth or military service and dies is doing a great selfless thing. That's not what we're talking about, buddy.
I
You gotta
understand
try
that.
to stick with the
I
argument.
understand that.
We're
I'm sticking
talking
with the
about
argument.
what men are compelled to do and what are women compelled to do on behalf of society that might kill them.
I don't think women are forced per se to do anything, but what you are making the argument with us today is you're making the argument that women should be at home and be stay-at-home mothers and they shouldn't be out there in the workplace.
Did I say that?
Oh, so tell me that then. Tell me your opinion
Yeah.
on women in the workplace. Do you
Sure.
believe that women should have the same opportunities as men in the workplace?
Yes, and they do.
Yeah,
But
they
what
do.
I will
They
say,
do.
yes, they do.
What's the
obviously.
average pay for a woman and a man in the same job?
The wage gap reduces to about 3% when you take into account the fact that women choose easier, lower paying jobs, easier, lower paying degrees than men on average, and take much more time off and much more time away from work.
This is the problem with this
But
argument.
you're skipping ahead and you didn't let me finish the point here. We're talking about how men are forced and compelled to possibly go to war and die, and we have no such responsibility for women. No one's forcing women to do anything to defend the country. No one's forcing women to go work a job that could kill them.
We don't have
Men
we don't have civilization without women bearing children.
We don't have
I understand that
civilization
they're
without
not.
men building
I
it.
understand that they're not
Why is
forced
there
to.
why
I
is
understand
there
that.
Why do men have to sign up for selective service at age 18? Or do you know what happens to them if they don't? They get in big trouble, don't
Here's
they?
why.
And they lose
Here's
rights,
why.
don't
Here's
they?
why. As I said earlier, women as a whole are not as physically enabled as men on average.
Right.
On average. That is why I said, and I'll repeat it again, I wouldn't have a problem with that if they both passed the same physical
You're
standard.
not addressing my question.
I'm completely addressing your question. I never
Do
said that
men
women
have
have
to
to
Do
sign
men
up. I
have
never
to
said
pass
that.
a physical test to sign up for the draft?
I
No, they don't.
never made that claim.
So we're
I'm
talking
giving you-
about the draft. Stick to the draft.
I understand what we are
You're
talking
talking
about.
about when people go sign up for military
I-
service
I
and go
under-
to boot
I
camp.
under.
I'm not talking about that.
Well, that's the argument that I'm making. I'm making because you're.
That doesn't
What the
address the
fuck?
question. The
I
question
never
is,
made the
if
claim.
men and women
Bro.
are equal, why is
Whoa,
there
whoa,
a
whoa, whoa.
standard
Okay,
for
hold on,
men
hold
that
on.
there is not
Okay,
for
so
women?
men and women are equal. As I've said before, there are attributes that women have that are stronger than men. There are attributes that
Yes,
men
no,
have
men
that are
and
stronger
women
than
are
women.
different.
I never said as a whole with every job men and women are equal. I'm not making that argument. The argument of this entire debate here is the point that I'm trying to make is that I don't want to interfere in other people's lives.
That's really cute. That's so virtuous of you. It has nothing to do with anything.
Well, I think it has.
I don't want to tell anyone what to do.
She doesn't want women to vote. She thinks women should be second-class citizens. Tell me you haven't said that.
I have not said that women should be second-class.
You've never said that in any debate on the record.
You think I've said women should be second-class citizens?
You've never said that?
No. Maybe as a joke.
Oh, maybe as a joke. Okay.
I say a lot of stuff.
It was just a joke. It was locker room
Tell me
talk.
when I said that.
I heard you in a debate say that you said women should be second class. Now, are you saying you were joking?
I don't ever remember saying
You don't
women
remember.
should be
Okay.
second-class
Okay.
citizens.
You don't remember. Okay. You don't
What
remember.
debate was it?
I think that's interesting.
I think you're lying. What debate was it?
I think you're lying.
What debate was it?
Was it a joke?
Who was I debating?
I'll look it up. Was it a joke?
You're lying. I didn't say that.
As when I was doing
Do
debate
you have
prep,
proof or not?
when I was doing debate
Do you
prep,
have proof or not?
I will provide you.
Okay.
So you're saying you never said that?
No, I never said that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
I'll
okay.
look it up.
So back to the draft. Why is it that men have to sign up for the selective service or risk losing their voting rights and even their freedom, but women don't? Why?
Well, I just gave you the answer. As a
Because
whole, in general.
So men and women are different. And they serve
When
different
did I say
purposes.
that they were exactly the
I'm
same?
not
That
saying
would be
you
the
did.
most ridiculous
I'm saying,
thing. I never said that.
why should women have the exact same political power as men when, as the anti-suffrage women brilliantly argued, they said, look, the purpose of government is to protect persons and property. That's the function
So the
of
argument
government.
is because
and women
when we're
cannot
born,
do that.
when we're born, as on average, as I've said, men might be on average stronger than women. Because of that premise, and they have to sign up, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. I completely disagree with that premise. And
Why?
Why?
What's
It's
your
because
argument? I
it's-
haven't heard an argument. I've just heard you go, I can't believe what she said. Can you hear believe what she said?
It's all
She called
emotional
people
appeals.
words. She said women should be second-class citizens.
I
She wants to take away
think if
No
you're not a
argument.
Christian, you're retarded. That's my
I
impersonation
think
of
you should give me an argument.
Okay, well, bad impersonation. Okay, bad impersonation. I never
I don't
said
have a stupid hat.
bad impersonation. Okay, all right.
Now give me the argument, please.
Do you really want to go there?
I want you to give
You want
me
to go
an
to personal,
argument.
physical attributes?
I want you to give me an argument.
Is that what you're going to do?
I mean, do you want to have a modeling contest, Brian? I don't think you're going to win.
Okay, I don't think you're going to win either.
Fair enough. Now
Yeah.
give me an argument. Tell me why. Tell me how we're supposed to have equality between the sexes when one is expected to die
I will
on
tell
behalf
you
of
why.
the other. Okay, tell
And
me.
I've tried to explain this to you. Okay? Women have certain things that they are better than men at. Women have certain responsibilities, like bearing children, if they decide to have
Yes,
children.
they want
The
to.
argument that you're making is, well, it's a choice for a woman to have a child. Okay, yes, it is a choice. I understand that. But still, my point being is that just because women don't have to sign up for the draft shouldn't be a reasoning why women should not be allowed to vote. Let me ask you, and I'm
You
going to
just restated the position. You did
Yeah.
not give me an
go. So
argument.
let me ask you a question.
Why? What would be
Because
the difference?
women don't have to sign up for the draft. I know. Look here.
He's
For
so
Christ's sake,
handsome.
he's
I
so
can't help
smiling.
it.
I know. By the way, this is. I want
It's
to go.
rough looking
I
this
wanna go.
way. I want to take a break and look this
Yeah.
way.
I will say this.
Now, if you
since
can
she
give
wants
me
to
a-
get,
if you can give me
since
an
she wants to get
argument.
personal with me because she's been doing
He
that.
doesn't want to have to actually give an argument. All he just did, by
An
the way,
argument. You're
was restate the
you're
position.
insulting
I
my
don't
physical
think-
appearance.
He said, I don't
You've
think
called
they
people
should
retarded
because I
for not
don't
agreeing
think they
with you.
should.
And
You have
and you're
an
talking to me about forming an argument.
Dude,
Yes.
You've called millions of people
All you
retarded that
have-
don't agree
yes,
with you.
you're very
And now you're
outraged.
talking to
this motherfucker bleeds soy on his period. Like, I can't believe it. Such a fucking soy boy, little shit. Little weasel.
about how insecure your husband is. You couldn't be more insecure.
He's so handsome.
I will say this though. The
Look
other
at him,
day,
he's so cute.
when we had our little, kind of funny, we had our little Twitter spat. She spent all day trying to convince strangers how hot her husband was. Little
Woo!
strange. Little
Look
strange.
at him!
Little
Yeah!
strange. Listen, I think if you're in a healthy relationship, you should think your husband is hot. If you're married to a woman, you should think your wife is hot. I just think it's a little weird trying to explain to thousands of complete strangers, trying to convince them that your husband is hot.
Okay,
That's a little weird.
Now, rather than
It's a little
you,
strange, that's
now,
all. It's a
rather
little weird.
than you restating your position of I just don't think so, tell me why
I've
women
told
should.
you
No, you just
over-
restated the position.
No, I've
That's all
told you.
did.
You're
said
not, Rachel,
they
you're not
shouldn't
listening.
because they shouldn't.
Rachel, you're not listening.
I'm listening. You're not thinking.
You're right. So-
the position is
so,
not an argument.
Rachel, I'm not stating the position
You did.
over.
You
I'm
said,
giving
"I
you my
don't think-"
opinion
Okay,
on
try
what we are
again.
discussing.
Try
Okay?
again.
I've already tried. You're not paying attention, so I'll say it again. Okay? There is no question that there are sacrifices that men have to make that women don't have to make, like being in the draft. I agree with you.
Okay.
However, there are sacrifices that women have to
Like
make
what?
that, like bearing children and
But
being
that's-
pregnant and having
but
kids.
that's
I never said they had to
That's
do
a
it.
category error.
I never said they had to do
Let
it.
me help this man with another logical
There we go
fallacy.
again.
It's called a category error. We are talking about an involuntary thing, which people are compelled by the government to do, versus a completely voluntary
Well, we're
thing
going to agree to
that
disagree.
nobody even dares
We're going to agree
tell
to
women
disagree on that.
to
Do
do.
you think women are bad in the government? Do you think they're bad representing in government? Because you said that in your book, right? You think
I
women are bad?
don't think women should be in politics, no.
You
But
don't.
you still haven't given me an argument
Well,
for.
I mean, we can
why-
beat a dead horse, but I'd like to move on to another topic. Do you
I'm
think,
sure you would
do you
because
think
you
women
had
are bad?
just.
No,
Yeah,
because
you
we
got
don't have much
mobbed,
time we have
bro.
left in this debate. There's a lot of other things that we should be discussing. Yeah, exactly. 10 minutes more. You think women are bad in government, right? You don't think they should be in government. You don't think
Right.
they should be politicians, right?
Yes,
Why is that? Why do you think that way?
because the purpose of government is for the protection of people and property, and women
Good.
are not able to accomplish that. Women, there's
Yeah.
a reason, by the way, that
Yep.
historically women couldn't own property. It's because they can't defend it. So as a woman, if I owned like 100 acres of land in 1845, how am I going to protect it
Yeah.
from bandits, from marauders, from people
I hate
who
to
want
break
just
it
come
to
and steal
Rachel,
it?
but
I would need, you asked me a question, so I'm answering.
yeah.
I would need men to do that on my behalf. I think the reason that we shouldn't have women in government is because men are the only people who can defend the borders, who can enforce the law. We've seen what happens when you try to put female law enforcement officers on the streets and on the border. It doesn't work
Yeah.
out very well. We need men, and we rely on them to protect persons and property.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Therefore, that's the task of
Let's
men,
talk about
not women.
protecting. Let's talk about COVID for a moment. Female
What?
leaders.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah.
COVID.
All right.
Okay, sure. Tell me how
Why are
it's
you
gonna-
laughing at
Because
COVID?
it-
Millions of people died of
It had
COVID.
Bro,
better tie back to
You're
feminism.
such a dumbass.
Why are you laughing?
We're debating feminism, and
You
you're
think COVID's
bringing up.
funny?
I think it has nothing to do with feminism.
Okay, well, why don't you shut up and let me finish and make him a sandwich again and
Are
let
you
me finish.
mad? Are you
No,
getting
you're
a little
just
emotional?
disrespectful.
He's hella
I'm
mad.
trying to make a point. I let you talk. Be quiet. Let me talk. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up. You said
turning
women.
red.
You said women shouldn't be in government positions.
Yes, correct.
I am telling you, during COVID, female leaders were far more successful than men in dealing with COVID. Globally, women only held 7% of leadership positions. 4 of the top 10 countries that were run by women, and in this study, the death rates, 13 countries led by men, 8 led by women, the male per capita, 214 deaths per million that were led by men. Led by women, 36 people per million. Look, you can look up that stat. Now, why? You could say maybe it was ego. You could say maybe it was bad policy. You could say maybe it wasn't listening to experts. Whatever the case may be, the women that were in power in these countries led to 36 people dying per million. By the men, 214 deaths per million. So if your premise is that men should be in power in these positions and women shouldn't, then what is your explanation there? Because if women weren't in power, more people would have died.
Do you believe in freedom and liberty?
I think I made that pretty clear.
Okay, well, the reason for those statistics is that women were notoriously tyrannical, like the Prime Minister of New Zealand locked down New Zealand tighter than a prison camp. And the fastest way to get rid of liberty and freedom is to put women in charge of the government because they overwhelmingly bring in tyrannical
I
welfare
just gave you the
states.
stats of how they saved lives.
Yes, by locking down their countries, by
They
not letting
saved
people go to work,
lives.
by shutting down businesses, by forcing people to take vaccines.
So first of all,
You think forced vaccination
First
is
of all, I
freedom?
find it repugnant that people in this crowd are laughing at the fact that less people died because maybe you couldn't go to the mall, okay? I find that despicable, number one.
You were
Number
one of those
two-
people chasing people around with masks.
No,
weren't you?
actually, I was one of those people that almost died of COVID. I was in the ICU. Hold on a second. I was in the ICU for 2 weeks. I saw people die around me. And the last breaths
very
that,
sad.
and the last, no, it is sad.
How do you feel
and the
about
last
forced
breaths, and the last
vaccination?
breaths that
Yes,
some of
the
those
last
people
breaths.
made,
So much drama.
they didn't think that COVID was real. The reason why this is a personal topic to me is because I almost died from it. And I would imagine, sadly, I wish this wasn't the case, I would imagine a lot of people in this room know positions during that time, during COVID, saved lives, and they did a better job than men. Now, if you think they're woke and they shouldn't have closed and everything should have been open, you're entitled to that opinion.
How do you
I
feel-
disagree with you.
How do you feel about forcing people to take
I've
experimental
always
vaccines?
said that I never felt like the vaccines should have been forced on anybody. I disagree with people
Well, that's
that
what,
said that.
That's what women did
Okay,
when they were in charge.
but these
so.
women that were in charge of these countries, and by the way, that's not entirely factually accurate. So let me ask you a question. Do you want us to look like a third world country? Is that what you want?
No.
You don't want that. Okay.
Explain.
Well, let me ask you this.
Are we still talking about feminism, by the way?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we
Can
are.
you
Because
bring it
when you
back
take
and
an
then-
entire society and you say that women shouldn't vote, women shouldn't be doing these specific things, I don't want to look like
What specific things?
I don't want
did
to look
say?
like Afghanistan. You are
I
pushing.
didn't say that.
You are pushing a narrative.
So it's either progressive liberal enlightenment or it's Sharia law in Afghanistan.
I didn't say that.
What do you think
I
Western
didn't say
culture looked like for all of its history?
Can you
Women
please?
can have plenty of liberty
We have like
and
5
not
minutes, right?
run the country.
Okay, about 5 minutes.
Putting
just for
putting
time,
some limits on
time
women is not
constraints.
the same
Rachel,
thing
we
as
only have
Sharia
5
law.
minutes, so time
Well, you've
constraints.
spent all the time
In your
talking
book-
about Trump
In your
and
book,
COVID and all kinds
well,
of
yeah,
stuff.
because I gave you examples of women in government
and
that I
you've
thought
still
did a good
not
job.
made a single compelling argument.
Actually, I did. They saved lives, and obviously you don't care about that. Did you say in your book that Miley Cyrus, Cardi B, Katy Perry, Beyonce, because they stick their tongue out, they're invoking some Hindu goddess and they hate men? Is that why they stick their tongue out?
They literally say in their songs
They do.
they hate men. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
You
they
talked
say-
about
literally
sticking.
say-
No, in your book you
Yes.
said
Dude.
because they stick their tongue out.
Dude,
You
Yeah.
think? Okay, can you please explain that to the? Because according to your theory, Gene Simmons must want to kill men too. When women stick their tongue out, could it just be possible that maybe they're just doing it because they enjoy it, or it's something
I
they
didn't.
do?
I said in the book,
Mhm.
whether they know it or not, this could be invoking forms of ancient goddess worship, and they do in their own songs talk about it. That's not.
So hold
really-
on. So because
That's not
Miley
really-
Cyrus sticks out her tongue, that must mean that they hate and they want to kill men.
I didn't say that.
In your book,
It
you were
doesn't
talking
say
about invoking the Hindu goddess
Let me
because they
ask
stick
you
their tongue
something.
out.
Did you read the
Dude.
book?
That must mean I want
That's-
to kill men too.
Did
I don't
you
know.
read the book? Because you said you weren't.
I read excerpts of the book. Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
ChatGPT.
Sure.
Because that's not what I said.
Oh, so what did you say? So what? So talk to me about women sticking their tongue out.
Well, just briefly, because it's not actually relative to whether feminism is good
It
for
is.
women and children.
You're attacking
which
women
is-
for sticking their tongue
I'm
out.
not I'm attacking women.
You're right. They're Hindu goddesses, and they
That's
want men.
not what I said. Anyone who's read the book would know. By the way, go buy it. It's on Amazon. Occult Feminism: The Secret History of Women's Liberation. It will
If I had
explain,
it,
though.
If I had it,
It
I would
will
use it as
explain
toilet paper.
how during the 70s there was a big goddess worship revival in the West that coincided with feminism, and that they do still now. If you go to TikTok, look up the hashtag WitchTok, and you will see feminists showing you how to perform ritual abortions, how to worship ancient goddesses like Lilith and Inanna, and they take it very
Well, you
seriously.
really are
Do you
nuts.
know that I'm not nuts?
You are
Witchcraft.
absolutely crazy.
Okay,
That
well,
shit
here's
crazy.
I'm not crazy. Witchcraft.
Sticking your tongue out.
Witchcraft is the #1 fastest growing religion among young women in the West. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know why?
So that's not me.
You know why?
That's them telling you that.
No, I know
They're
that.
telling you they believe it.
I am very very
Now, whether
aware
you
of
believe
that.
witchcraft is real or not doesn't matter. They're
Well,
saying
you know why?
they believe
You
it.
know why I feel that way? Because I think most people that are into that think that it's inclusive. It's not oppressive,
That's
maybe
right.
like
That's
Christianity.
actually correct.
They
That's
feel
what
like
they say.
feel like maybe that it's
So
empowering.
you love witchcraft.
I'm going by why I think you can make.
Witchcraft is cool,
you
you
can-
guys. It's very inclusive. It's very
Well,
progressive.
you believe in the Bible, right? And God killed 2.4 million people in the Bible. Is that oppressive? I don't know.
I believe in Orthodox Christianity, and I'm not going to get into a Bible
Of
debate
course
with
you're
you
not.
because
Of
it's
course you're
beyond the scope of this.
So
This discussion.
we only got a couple minutes
Show
left
me
here.
So, do you have an argument? Tell me how feminism has improved the lives of women and children when I just opened with all these statistics proving that
I'll
we
use
are,
your argument
we
because
are
I want to
worse
move
off.
on to one other thing, but I'll just use the argument that you used 20 minutes ago. It's retarded.
What's
So
retarded?
there's a lot of
Feminism?
problems. There's a lot of
Feminism is
okay. So hold on.
retarded?
There's a lot of problems in
So
this
he
country.
agrees
I
with
think
me?
we all know. Okay. There's a
You
lot
didn't
of
answer the
there's a lot.
question.
I'm
How is
finished. Hold on. We have 3 minutes left here. We have a lot of problems in this country. We've talked a little bit about it, right? Education, healthcare, jobs, debt. This is why Republicans, women, female Republicans, are not entering. The reason why is because this is what Rachel is focused on. She's not focused on those other topics that I just brought up. I think a lot of people are. It's an uninspiring ideology that you have.
What are you even talking about?
I'm talking about your ideology. I'm talking
Patriarchy?
about your ideology
What's
and the
my
reason why.
ideology? What's
I
it
think
called?
you've made it very clear to everybody what your
Patriarchy.
ideology
Yes,
is. I think it's very
patriarchy.
clear what you think women should be doing. Listen. As I've said,
Having families with good men who protect them and take care of them, yes, I think that's great.
and what if a
Are
woman?
you against that?
And what? Absolutely not. What would you say to a woman that hasn't found the right man? She's in her mid-30s. What should she do?
Go to church?
Go to church.
Yeah.
So you think church will help her
I think
find?
she could find a good man in church.
But there are women out there, 30s, 40s,
Yeah.
that haven't found the right man.
Well, is it that they haven't found the right man, or is it that they've been through about 50 men and haven't
You
wanted to
shouldn't
lock
talk,
any
you
of them
shouldn't talk
down?
about yourself like that, Rachel.
I've been with a handful, like less than 5, so. No, I'm
Without
talking
feminism, you would not
I'm
have been allowed
talking
to break up with those men.
I
Right?
didn't.
Would you agree with
I
that?
didn't.
You weren't married to any other men?
I was, but I
Okay.
didn't initiate
100
divorce.
years ago, you wouldn't have been able to
I
divorce
didn't.
them, right?
I didn't divorce them. I was abandoned by an abusive person.
Okay, so 100 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to.
Yes, you would have. I just told you that in the year 1900, 55,700 divorces were granted to women who were in abusive marriages. So yes, I would have. And by the way, one more thing.
Disagree.
I would be able to be here without feminism. This is a very
What?
stupid, silly rebuttal. Yes.
It's not stupid
Mary
at all.
Wollstonecraft, yes, the anti-suffragists were having public debates against suffragists in 1848, you dumbass.
I understand that.
So women were
So-
allowed to speak publicly. Women have always been allowed to
So-
speak. They've been allowed to write books, and they have been allowed to be part of the public discourse even far before they could vote. He is ignorant and doesn't know his history.
Yeah.
I hate to
So-
do this, but
so-
we really do have to transition. We need to do it, but we do have to, as we are limited on time, as we've already gone
She called me a
over
dumbass, but
time
okay, go ahead.
for the cross section.
I guess I can't respond to that.
And someone has to have the last word during the open dialogue. So
Go ahead.
we do have to go to the Q&A, which I'll ask you
Sure.
folks to get ready for in just a second. But first, I want you to get ready for some groundbreaking news.
So when recording this video, there was a hiccup with the feed, and I had to. Basically, there was some random skipping bullshit. What happened is the screen turned black and fucked everything up. So we only missed part of a question. But anyway, apologies.
I think go ahead.
Uh,
More than woman. Now I'm still going to call people he, she to be respectful to them. No.
Whatever.
I think I'd like to see a study that says if you're a transgender woman, you're more likely to commit a crime if you're in the bathroom. I'd like to see that stat because I haven't seen that stat. With that being said, I can understand how some women would feel uncomfortable with that, right? Transgender women should not be on the playing field with biological born women. I've been very clear on that, and I think most Democrats agree with me on that, but some are wrong that disagree with me on that. I think it's very unfair. With that being said, if we're talking about sports, I think there's like 8 or 9 transgender women that are in Division I college sports. I don't think it's a top 5 issue. I don't think it's a top 10 issue. But I've been very clear on my opinions on that, and I think it's wrong. At the same time, I know people who are transgender, and I treat them with respect. Is it something that I would do? No. But I treat them with respect. I don't care whether you call somebody he or she. That doesn't affect my life. I don't know why it would affect anyone else's life, just being respectful to them. But I hope I answered your question.
I'm talking about like modern feminism, like modern
I'm not a
feminists.
feminist, so I'm not sure. Be specific. Like,
Cap.
Just like we're debating modern feminism,
Yes.
like modern feminism has morphed into allowing men into protected women's spaces.
you're talking about transgender. Okay, so be specific. You're talking about transgender women in bathrooms. I can't answer your question. Be specific.
like protected spaces. Like, you know,
Locker
you can
rooms,
lie and
bathrooms.
say that you think you're a woman even if you're not a transgender. Like,
Well, here's my opinion on that. So I gave you my opinion on the sports aspect, on the bathroom aspect. If there's a study that would show me that transgender women are more likely to commit a crime in a woman's restroom, then I would certainly be on the side of not allowing that. The idea that, in my opinion, a man, somebody born a man, would cut off their genitalia so that they can go into a woman's restroom and commit an assault.
Most
I'm
of them
not
don't get
saying you
bottom
said that.
surgery,
I'm answering a question.
Most of them just
I'm
wear
answering a
dress.
question. I'm not saying you said that, but that idea to me is a little bit absurd. So I hope I answered your question. It's a good question.
Hello, Brian.
Hi.
So earlier you were talking about, you were talking about economics being why women don't want to reproduce as much.
Well, I didn't say that. John Hopkins did. That was just a study. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would argue that it's harder to create a business, which would drive the economy more because of Democrat policies with a ton of red tape,
Which
all
policies?
all the permits and everything that you got to get for basically anything. I mean, if you want a shed in your backyard now, you got to go get a permit. Right. Basically, I see it as it would be a better position to limit Democrat policies, remove a bunch of this red tape. If you disagree, I'd like to hear your rebuttal.
What specific policy and red tape are you referring to?
Well, I mean,
Which Democrat specific policy? Because it's hard for me to answer when you give me a generalized
okay,
statement.
so I see it as a right to have a business and to make a living.
Democrats aren't giving you the right to
And-
have a business and make a living?
They're substituting your right by having you purchase a
And-
license, right?
Okay, and which specific policy about a license are you referring to?
Dude.
Last I checked, Donald Trump is in office right now. Republicans have the House and the Senate. If they wanted to change policy, they
Yeah.
could easily do that. So give me a Democrat
That
policy.
would be a local
Yeah, that's
policy.
it.
So
That
give
isn't
me-
a president
Okay,
policy.
so which local policy in which city are you referring to that you think they make it too hard to get permits to own a business? I've asked you 5 times respectfully.
The fact that I'll let you go.
Thank you. I'm happy to answer any of your
Yeah,
questions.
dude,
I just
Brian's
need a
such a
specific
dick.
policy so I can respond to it. That's all.
You talked a lot about freedom and how she wouldn't be here without feminism. So, like, if you go back to the actual history of feminism, there's a big history in eugenics and when you get to abortion. So, I just want to know how you feel about, like, if it
Abortion.
actually was, like, feminism to the highest extent, I wouldn't be here. Because they actually had a eugenics program that was literally called the Negro Project, and that was to literally eliminate people like me, literally black people. So,
So you're saying because of feminism, black people wouldn't exist?
yes, literally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Literally.
Okay.
Margaret Sanger,
I'm not going to respond to that because
Planned Parenthood.
I'm not going to respond to something when I'm
Come
unaware
on,
of
dude.
it. I don't. If you're saying because of
The
feminism,
invention
the
of
entire race of people wouldn't be here,
He's fucking
I'll look
retarded.
that up. I'm not aware of that. I'll look it up. But
literally where
how many
abortion
years
came
ago
from.
are we talking about?
Huh?
How many years ago?
Whenever
It would be like 1928, the
Okay.
founding of Planned Parenthood
Okay.
with Margaret Sanger, and the same
Okay.
thing in the UK
So,
with the
it
Marie
was literally
Stopes
founded on
project.
Mhm.
a genocide.
Well, I'll look that up. You can find me on Twitter, and I promise you I'll answer your question.
I would love to see a response to that.
I will. Shoot me an email. I put my email up there to everybody, and I'm happy to answer that. I'll look it up. Okay?
Great.
Yep.
How's it going, Brian? I appreciate that you said that, like, you had to bring up the personal stuff. I think that is true, and sometimes people don't understand when you're
So for those of you who don't know who this guy is, I had a few debates with him, and this should be a
It's
very
Rob Noor. The great Rob Noor, everybody!
I was actually giving you a compliment. I'm sorry. It's difficult in debates like this where there's a personal nature and you have to bring in things that are relevant to people's lives. It's not really an insult, even when you're implying she slept with 50 men. I understand how it's important to this debate, and I appreciate that. So, given that, feminists such as Melissa Fabello and Caitlin Berg have written extensively about the problem of men adapting feminist talking points in order to harm women. Given allegations that have been made against you of financially exploiting women and your treatment of Savannah Hernandez, who was assaulted by a man,
I'm happy to
and
talk
how
about
you
that.
mocked them, do you think,
Happy
and
to
this is
talk
the
about
question
that.
to both of you, do you think that you exhibit those same sort of toxic
Yeah.
behaviors
Happy.
of men embracing feminist talking points in order
Sure.
to attack women?
I'm happy to talk
Got
about
him.
that. So first of all, I'll start with Savannah Hernandez. By the way, nobody's been arrested in that situation. I've been talking to Savannah for 3 years. Never have I ever condoned violence or said somebody deserves to be assaulted on either side of the aisle. I've said that on 4 national networks since that incident happened. Said it on Pierce yesterday. My issue with Savannah Hernandez is this. And by the way, the worst thing I said to her was I called her a grifter, a right-wing grifter. Okay? Now, I also interviewed somebody that used to work with her at InfoWars, had her on my show, agreed with me. That doesn't mean that anybody deserves to be assaulted. I've said that over and over again. family and the man who pushed her, which I know he regrets doing that. They've had death threats. There have been people that have threatened to rape the wife and the daughter. I've had plenty of private conversations with them and their attorneys. With that being said, I've also said, if somebody gets arrested, charged, and convicted, let the chips fall where they may.
Right.
What I don't like are people like the Cam Higbees, like the Nick Sorters, and others that go to political rallies and they're looking to get that viral moment. Now,
What do you think journalism is, dude? You're just supposed to, like, you know, have fires and shit in the street and everybody fucking breaking shit and no one's supposed to document it, even though they're allowed to do it while they're doing it. Alright, bro.
do I know if Savannah Hernandez wanted to be pushed or not? No, I don't. But I do know that when you go to these types of events and you're looking for that viral moment and you're not a journalist, that was my other issue with Savannah. Her first job was at InfoWars, okay? She's never wrote articles about anything. She's not a real journalist, and when you go around the country asking people what's a man and what, by the way, I'm not a journalist either. I never said I was. When you go around the country saying what's a man and what's a woman, that doesn't make you a journalist. And by the way, any allegations that you've talked about, any, are false. And why do I say that?
We do have to wrap this up.
Okay, well, this is important. I had a death threat yesterday where somebody said they were going to go, they put my address out there. I got into this business knowing. He asked me the question. I'm answering
It
it.
doesn't even have to do with
Then blame him. It wasn't about feminism.
This
He
guy's
asked you
retarded.
about
Straight
feminist
up.
talking
He made
points to
claims.
attack women, and
So
you're
the answer
talking
is
about
no.
doctrine.
The answer is
I'll
no.
just say real quick, I understand it seems your argument there is you have to be careful with accusations or it could lead to death threats.
The answer is no.
You call
No.
Trump a pedo all the time. They just tried to kill him like 3 days ago.
Who's
Yeah.
that? Who's
I
that?
know, right?
The
Weird.
person
The
that was
person.
the
Thank you.
anti-Trump.
Thank you. The person.
Yeah. Will you retract you calling Trump a pedo, and will you acknowledge that rhetoric?
What I had
that's
said-
meant to damage
What I had
against
said
He
over
fucking baited him
and
so well
over
with that
again.
one.
I believe, just like I believe with Bill Clinton, that both Bill Clinton and Donald Trump have probably did some horrible things to women. Donald Trump is also a liable sexual abuser. Donald Trump is also named 30,000 times in the Epstein files. And if you're going to say that I believe that Donald Trump may have done some horrible things to kids, then maybe you should call out the other side too. Donald Trump just asked for, 6 Democrats he called for them to be executed 3 months ago. Donald Trump is the guy who said, rough him up, I'll pay your legal bills. So if you're going to call out one side, you better call out the other one too. You're done now. You're done. I answered your question.
James, since Rob said that was a question for both of us, I just want to quickly say this guy who is the white knight defender of women and
I never
wants
said
to
I was a
protect
white knight.
you want to protect women, yet your very first DM to me was asking how many beers my husband had to have in order to
I did say that. You know
work
why?
up
I'll
the-
defend
work up
that.
the guts to have sex
I'll defend
with
that. I'll defend that. And it goes to what Rob Noor just said. Here's the reason why I said that. She put out a tweet.
I shared a tweet
Excuse me.
somebody
Let me
else
just answer.
put
Let
out.
me at least defend myself. She put out a tweet,
I
a
didn't say
retweet, whatever you
did
call it.
I just shared
Doesn't
a
matter.
tweet about
She
it.
has a large platform, and she retweeted, or whatever you want to put it, a story about me with all the worst. My sister passed away at the age of 37. The person in this article, she doesn't care. Yeah, again, she doesn't.
You
She can give two shits.
you
I'm
can't
answering
decide.
why. I'm defending why I called you that,
Get it
why I
out
said
with
that.
There's
Because I
no
was.
excuse for you to say
Oh, okay,
that
but it's an
me.
excuse
You
to
don't
call
know
people
me.
retards. Get lost. Go ahead.
Ugh,
I'm saying
this
you don't
guy's
give a
dumb
fuck
as
about
fuck.
women.
No, I don't give a fuck about
You
you.
are a sneaky fucker, is what you are. He pretends
Oh,
to be a
please.
feminist so that he can get into
Please.
women's
Move on,
spaces and
please,
do
move on.
things to them.
Please, you
Yeah.
defend me to be a
We're gonna go
Christian.
to the
You're
next
a
question.
Christian.
We're ready for you. Go ahead.
Okay, so Brian, we would agree that a man that turns 18 years old cannot willfully opt out of conscription, correct?
Yeah.
What duty to this country can a woman opt out of
What duty to this country that can a woman opt out of?
Can they not
without
opt out of it?
consequence?
I mean, I guess nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. The other point is we would also agree that men unfortunately hold the monopoly on violence statistics in the country, right?
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
that's probably accurate.
Trans woman.
What is
What is a trans woman?
What do you mean? What is a trans woman?
What biologically is a trans woman?
I've already said, were you not paying attention? I said if you're born a man, I believe you're a man. I believe if
Okay,
you're
so
born a
now
woman,
you
you're
have
a
the
Another
statistics for
trans
why
question?
trans women shouldn't be allowed in women's
Okay, well
bathrooms.
that's just ridiculous. I can't believe people are clapping at that. This is hold on a second. Let me respond to that. What a ridiculous thing to say. So
How is
yeah.
that ridiculous?
So her, oh, be quiet. Let me.
That was
I hear
perfectly coherent.
all the time. Again, the trans issue again. When we talk about mass shootings in this country, and when there happens to be a trans shooter, everybody says, "Oh, look at that! It's another trans person." Almost like you're wishing it's a trans person. Less than a fraction of 1%. Less than a fraction of 1% of all the mass shootings in this country are conducted by trans women. You know, the demo is usually it's young white men. You could look up that statistic. So I'm not going to answer any more stupid trans questions. It's so insane and ridiculous.
So you've shown a lot of righteous indignation throughout this debate.
I wouldn't say that. I'm honest. I wouldn't say that. I'm shooting it right back at her.
It's my opinion.
I'm not a saint.
Right.
I never claimed I was.
So Andrew has an argument where he talks about women had influence early before they had the right to vote, universal suffrage, and he has an argument. He positions it as they got the temperance movement passed. I'm gonna just do a little twist for you. They also wrote a book. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote a book called Uncle Tom's Cabin, and helped propel the abolition of slavery, which you somehow thought still existed 50 years ago.
I have to press you to a question.
Okay. The question is, how do you answer that question? Where women had influence, right? They didn't have universal suffrage, but they were still put on a pedestal, and they were able to influence society and help get the abolition of slavery passed.
Yeah, I thought that was Abraham Lincoln. Am I wrong on that?
That was a war, right? But there was two different.
So women ended slavery.
Women helped move the abolition movement. You know, there's an abolition movement,
I understand
right?
that, but you're making the case that that's a bad thing. I'm trying to understand.
He's saying women
Why
had a voice without suffrage.
Yeah, they still had a voice. They were put
Okay.
on a
You
pedestal.
think
They
that's
didn't
bad?
need political equality
No,
in
it's
order
not
to
bad.
have an effect.
So what's your question then?
The question is, women could still have influence without having suffrage.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what we want in society, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I want. Yeah.
Bro.
I don't want women to suffer. I'm trying to understand what the
That's
question is.
Oh wow,
Oh,
very
wow.
clever.
Go ahead, sir.
He doesn't even know
All
what
right.
the word means.
I'm a Hindu, so I.
By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm very aware that everybody in this room disagrees with me, but that doesn't stop me from coming here. And
DMs, you said that you were going to sell at least as many tickets as me.
I'd like to see that DM. I don't remember saying that.
You said
Go ahead.
we'll see about
Bro.
that. I think
Yeah, I
plenty
never
of
said I was
people
going to
are
sell
buy
as many
tickets
tickets
for
as
me.
you. I never said that.
So I'm a Hindu.
This is why people don't want to debate you.
All right, we do
Go
have
ahead.
one next question.
Go ahead, sir.
Oh my god.
I'm a Hindu.
Yeah.
I really do believe in gods and goddesses too. So why do you think mocking other religions is a good thing about
No, I
feminism?
wasn't mocking other. Okay, so give me the statement that I made. Mocking other religions.
Your own debate when in this
Yeah.
debate you were talking about like she said in her book about
Right,
there's women mocking about
Right.
Hindu gods.
I was mocking her. I wasn't mocking religion in general. Let me be very clear. I'll clear this up for you. I believe everybody has the right to believe in whatever you want to believe in.
Grandstand.
You can believe in. My problem with religion in general terms is that too many people, like Rachel, push their beliefs on other people, and if they don't believe in what she believes in her God, she calls people retarded. I want you to believe in what you want to believe in, and you have that right to do that. I would never want to take that right away from you. I don't care what religion you guys can believe in the tooth fairy if you want. You have the right to freedom of religion. I would never want to take that away from you, sir. I've been very clear on that.
Our last question we take. Mr. Shapiro and Ms. Wilson, can you each say something kind to each other?
That's the best question. Go ahead, Rachel. You first.
I decline.
Yeah. Well, here's what I would say, and I'm not surprised she would say that, because before we were in the green room,
I'm asking for something kind.
I know. Before we were in the green room, I said, "Hey, I'd love to shake their hands. I'm happy, even though obviously we have our personal grievances, which I think both of us would agree. I was happy to shake their hands and be professional. I said, hey, have them come in. Love to say hello to them and be kind. They declined. I was trying to be professional, but I will say this: I want.
What's the
you're an opinion. You're
Just to clarify,
you're-
that Rachel wasn't here yet.
okay. Well, whatever. That's.
So you just
Andrew
lied.
was here. You said he was in the other room, right?
Andrew was here.
Okay.
but
And I said they're both welcome to come in, and I'm
You just
happy to say
lied.
hello to them.
What's
Okay.
your nice thing you want to say about Rachel?
Land the plane, dipshit.
I'd have to think about this. Give me 10 seconds here.
I owe nothing and no respect to a person who's going to publicly try to accuse me of believing things I don't believe, saying things I don't say, and being promiscuous, which I've never been in my life.
Okay. So,
Let's not pretend there's a pretense of professional decorum here, because
what was
it's
the
just
question?
not.
What's the question? Say something nicer
Yeah.
on one another, or
Fucking
not?
true.
Nice to each other.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
I
go to the next
decline.
question.
I decline.
Actually, that is all we have for Q&A. I do want to make sure that we get the closings in, so we
Okay.
do actually have to jump into the closings. These
Yeah.
are 3-minute time sections. I've got the timer set for you, and Brian.
You want me to go first again?
Yes. In each case, you'll be going first. The floor is all yours, Brian.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I do a lot of shows that are way far to the right. I'm happy to do them, regardless of whether people agree or disagree. But I'm going to talk about something now very serious, and it's an emotional thing.
Okay.
And when I was doing debate prep for this debate, I learned of a horrible story that I am very sad to hear. That you had lost your 10-year-old son in a car accident, and my condolences to your family. It's awful.
Bro.
And unfortunately, we have something like that in common,
Dude.
Rachel. And I am truly sorry
Why?
that happened to you. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. When I was 12 years old, my whole family got into a very serious car accident. I lost my grandmother. It's the reason why my sister passed away a few years ago, because of her injuries. And I learned at a very young age
You're a fucking asshole, bro.
how precious life is.
Dude.
What does this have to do with feminism? Life is really short. And again, I say again how sorry I am that your family had to go through that. It's horrible. And the reason why I talk about how short life is, I don't want to tell you guys what to do. I don't want to tell you guys that you can't vote because you're poor. I don't want to tell you guys that you can't be in the workplace. If you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a stay-at-home mom with kids, I think that's all great. I don't want to tell you what to do. When I was 14 years old, my dad introduced me to two radio hosts, Howard Stern and Don Imus. I didn't really like Don Imus very much. I said, Dad, I want to be like that. I want to be on the radio one day. And my family supported me. And I had to work really fucking hard, pardon my French, to get to where I am, to be able to even do something like this, to be able to go on Peer Sport, to be able to do those things. And I'm very humbled by that. But it wasn't because I'm a guy. It wasn't because I'm a male. It's because I worked my ass off, which I'm still doing every day. And if a woman listens to their dad growing up and they want to be a radio host, or they want to be a doctor or a nurse, or maybe they're poor, but they're still involved in politics and they want to vote, I say, do what makes you happy. Live your life. Don't listen to somebody, no matter what religion they are or who they are, tell you what to do with your life. I'm doing what I'm doing now because I worked hard. It has nothing to do with my gender or because I'm a woman. We all have tragedies in life, and I'm sorry for yours. And I wish we didn't have that in common because it's awful.
Dude.
Don't let other people tell you what to do. I know there's a lot of people in this crowd that probably disagree with a lot of what I said today. And listen, that's okay. We have the freedom to agree or disagree with people. That's what makes this country great. But we're all human beings. I'm not perfect. I make plenty of mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, and I've probably said things in my life that I regret. But I own it. And so thank you all for being here. 5 seconds. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, James. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I appreciate it. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I love having good debates, and I appreciate all you guys being here. Thank you very much.
What the fuck, dude?
We could go over to Rachel for her 3-minute closing as well. The floor is yours, Rachel.
Very disappointing. We had no arguments from Brian whatsoever for why we should believe that feminism has been beneficial for women and children. He wasn't able to provide any data, any sort of measurement whatsoever to show that, hey, before feminism, this was what happened, and after feminism, this is what we got. We didn't get any of that. What we got was a whole bunch of logical is or how to debate. I'm going to list them off quickly, but join in the comments on the live stream if you caught more of these than I did. These were just some of the fallacies that we witnessed tonight from Brian. Non sequitur, argument from incredulity, straw man, ad hominem, category error, tu quoque fallacy, appeal to authority, argument ad populum. And on top of all that, we got moral outrage, we got appeals to your virtue and your emotions,
Yep.
and what we got from Brian ultimately was the best argument against feminism, because what feminism produces is emotionally incontinent, weak men who can't control themselves, who have violent outbursts, will insult you, will be angry and combative, and then try at the end of the debate to bring up your dead child and not even let you get through a debate in a professional manner addressing the topic at hand without crying and bringing up your dead son, who you probably don't want to be thinking about in the closing of a professional debate that you're trying to get through. So when he says, do what you want, man, follow how you feel, life's short, do what you feel like, just follow what you want, follow your emotions, I would say no, don't do that. Find a strong, virtuous man in your life who knows how to hold boundaries and protect you, who can control his emotions, who can be the force of strength and stability that families need that we don't have anymore. Don't be a male feminist like this. Don't be this emotionally incontinent, just going all over on a tangent, unable to control your thoughts, unable to control your emotions, just spewing and vomiting emotional appeals to people in the middle of a professional debate, bringing up dead children, bringing up your abusive ex-husband. Be the kind of person who can actually handle getting up here and having an argument, making an argument, sticking to the topic, controlling yourself. And the fact that I, a housewife from the Midwest with no college degrees, no professional training, am better able than him to do that, just shows you this is the kind of men that feminism has produced, and this is why society is all messed up.
She could have literally just said that at the beginning and just had him try to disprove it the rest of the time and watch him flounder. That could have been the whole debate right there, is her closing statement.
With that, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Sean, who is the leader of Uncensored America, who is the host of these debates. I want to say, folks, thank you very much for coming out. Sean, please come on up. I want to give you a chance to conclude with final points. That's right. Thank you very much for the reminder. DebateCon 8 this summer in July in Dallas will feature Andrew Wilson versus Dinesh D'Souza and Rachel Wilson versus Not So Erudite. You don't want to miss it, folks. Click on that tickets link in the description box as we're expecting to sell out. Grab your tickets now. That's this summer in Dallas, Texas. And with that, I'll kick it over to Sean. Thank you very much, Sean, for the reminder.
Thank you, guys. Let's give one more big round of applause for everybody who helped out. And for our debaters. It's not hard. It's not easy putting on these events. It is hard. And it requires a lot of support from people here at the university, the students that made this event possible, and of course the financial support from everybody who helped pay for tickets. So I want to thank you guys for that, and thank you for making this event possible, because it cannot happen without you guys. Everybody in the Crucible crew who came out, and Brian's crew as well. Thank you guys for supporting us and coming out to this exchange of ideas here. And thank you to Lauren for hooking us up with those good sponsors that, again, made this debate possible. So if you want to see more debates like this, go to uncensoredamerica.us. You can check out more. And if you want to get involved with the chapter, you can talk to Henry over there, and he will help you out. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.
Dude. I don't know what to say about that. Brian Shapiro is a fucking douchebag. I just watched someone put themselves into a dumpster. I've never seen that before.